This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
So, Tom, I'm going to pose the same question that we just did to our audience, and we appreciate you joining us as always. Kendall Diggs has been incredible in clutch hit situations and bases loaded situations. And let's say a national championship's on the line, and you look down 1 through 9. What batter would you pick to win Arkansas its first national championship?
Hey, guys. Good morning. That's a great question. You know, I think I would have to take Diggs because I like the way he works counts. I think there's times where Dave Van Horn and maybe Nate think he's maybe a little too patient, not aggressive enough, but he likes to see what the pitcher's got. And, yeah, he would be my choice. But I think one of y'all just said it. Tommy might have just said that you got a lot of really good choices. There's some clutch batters on that team.
Yeah, here's what I'd like to do. Go ask Tim Corbin that question. Go ask what is it, Jay Johnson? He's the guy now at LSU. Go ask him today. Hey, who do you not want to face in that moment when you've gone to the pen and there's runners at second and third or whatever? Who do you not want up for the race? There's your real answer is who Tim Corbin or Jay Johnson or any other SEC coach doesn't want to see at the plate, Tom.
Well, you're right, and maybe Jim Schlossnagel's not the guy to ask because, you could ask him, but don't ask him on the heels. Apparently, Bob asked him so many questions about Razorbacks. I think he asked about Diggs and McIntyre and Wagner to the point where Schlossnagel says, "Am I wearing an Arkansas uniform?"
Well, you all right now, big boy? Scoreboard. I guess there's there's a decent chance you play them again on Friday. You're playing LSU today. That's not going to be an easy win. And if you don't win that game today and A&M beats Carolina, you'd match up again with the Aggies.
Tom, to your point, Schlossnagel also was like, yeah, I've seen him on TV talking about Diggs. He's a clutch hitter. Well, we saw it on TV and he's seen it in person too.
Yeah.
I wanted to make that line reference too. That Schlossnagel, I think I would enjoy covering his teams because he's a little bit like Dave, and he tells it like it is or like he sees it. And he even kind of called out Aggies fans for getting on the team earlier this year. So I do like his outspokenness. I think it's funny that he's like, yeah, we've seen Diggs do that on TV. It's just a great line, and Diggs has delivered in many clutch situations. So,
I'm sure Bob asked him how it felt to be 0-4 against the Razorbacks. Was that his first or second question? Which I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's funny. The Razorbacks blew so many scoring chances early on, and they also blew the chance in the 10th inning when I don't know if Parker Rowland is their best bunter, and then he's showing bunt. You're like, well, yeah, you're gonna send the guy on the bunt, but boy, the way A&M was crashing, that bunt was going to have to be placed. It was going to have to make a guy go off his balance a little bit, and that didn't happen. But anyway, 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position, but the one was the biggest blast of the game, the Grand Slam. So they kind of skirted around a relatively rugged performance with a win.
I thought it was interesting. You just referenced Parker's bunt. So Dave was asked after the game about a pinch hit situation. Well, he told us that Hudson Polk was puking all night and all morning, had an IV on him, so didn't really have a backup catcher. He said he would have put Holt in the backup catcher in that situation. Then they would have known when they really put it second base. So to that question, Tom,
By the way, what can Peyton Holt not do?
To add to that. Tom, to that point, how thin is this roster? Again, it's really great top, but, how thin is this roster right now with all the injuries you've suffered?
Well, you do have some issues, and here's the thing. With Peyton Stovall out and with John Bolton sidelined, then you do have the question of who would be your next infielder. I think Harold Cole's been a fantastic – he's been hot and cold. He's had some big hits. But I think he's a great guy to have on the bench that you can plug in. The same with the way Holt is. But it does beg the question, if Hudson Polk is out puking his guts out and then you have to take Rowland out for some reason, and now Holt is your catcher, then Jason Jones had to come in. He had to sub in last night. And apparently he made a great defensive stop. I had my back turned at the time, but the way Phil Elson described it, he made a backhand pick on a hot shot, and it was his first inning on defense in the game. And it's funny how the ball just seems to find you when you just subbed in. But he made a great play that, can't be overlooked in the scheme of winning that game.
Diggs is the story, obviously, because that's the way the game ended. The 1 of 10's the big deal. But I thought the pitching was really the star of the show. Adcock was a little bit shaky at the start, but the way Zach Morris came in and gave you 5 innings, Tom, that really for the Razorbacks, I know Diggs' walk-off overshadows a lot of things, but Zach Morris in many, many ways won you that baseball game yesterday.
Indeed. That's the great thing about baseball. Kendall Diggs can be the guy who walks you off, but a lot of other guys play key roles, the Wagner Grand Slam and so on and so forth. Jason Jones making a play at third. But yeah, I think Morris's appearance was the key from the pitching standpoint, to go 5, to give up 1 solo. To give up just the scrap end of the Adcock inning. And then Will McIntyre. So you've got your 2 kind of longest-serving Razorbacks, veteran pitchers, 1 lefty, 1 righty, who were monumental in that win yesterday. And if both of those guys are on their game in the postseason, I think we talked about this some on Tuesday, but if both of those guys are delivering for you in the postseason, it just expands your opportunities.
Yeah, and they gave you 9 innings combined. I guess my question, there's a day off with a win today. That's to me is the prize today, is Friday off, and you get a quality win over an LSU program. How much more would you see out of Morris? Where would you see out of McIntyre? You ask about middle infield and depth there, Tom. I wonder how many people are on Matt Hobbs' list are already scratched for the rest of this week.
Yeah, that's a great question. And they've talked about using McIntyre twice, and you just wish that he could have finished it off in the 9th and not had to throw all those extra pitches in the 10th and 11th. Mm-hmm. But I would think by Saturday he could give you some more innings. I mean, he showed that in the Vanderbilt series with a long outing and then coming back in the last game and throwing some more and being effective. So Morris's ability to recover, now he threw more pitches, so I think it would take till Sunday maybe to get him back. But, look, I think the guys like Fouch and Bybee and Coyle are all, if they're going to play till Sunday, I think all those guys are going to have to deliver some innings, because with Tigert and with Holland, you cannot expect to get, I guess you could out of Holland, but you don't want to throw him 100 pitches. And then with Tigert, he's probably sitting on about a 75 or so pitch count. And now that would be Saturday. So, that would be the semifinals. Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah.
On Tigert, and then on Holland, do you want to start him on Sunday? I mean, I guess you could. It would give him a full week rest to start a game 3 of a regional. So I don't know. Man, I do believe that.
Nothing in Hoover.
I'm sorry. I believe.
Nothing in Hoover's worth sacrificing your rotation or your plans for next week. So I mean, you can't do anything that would interrupt what you're planning to do next weekend for the regional.
That's absolutely right. It's what we talked about on Tuesday. You just keep Tigert on his count. You don't do anything beyond that. You keep Holland on his count or below it. I would keep Holland at 90 or below, and then not overuse anybody else. And if you just, run out of pitching, then you just keep using freshmen. So that's where they are. And, here's what happens. You get caught up in the moment. If you are a member of the team, you want to keep winning. Do they want to lose to LSU today? No, they don't. They want to win that game. Then they want to win the semifinal, and then they want to win the championship. So that's just the way. I mean, you got fans there that are cheering for you. It's no different than a home game. You want to win, but not at the expense of your pitching, and they know that.
Tom Murphy with us on the Morning Rush. Tom, football questions. 100 days out till September the 2nd when you open up your season in Little Rock. Athlon Sports came out with their All-SEC teams yesterday. Couple All-Americans, couple All-SEC performers preseason for the Razorbacks. Who are some guys that you would be voting on and will be voting on at SEC Media Days from Arkansas to be on those teams?
Well, I actually do the writing for the Athlon preview, and they asked me to send in, guys who I think should be all conference. And so I sent them a pretty good list this year. Obviously, KJ, Chris Paul, I think he's in position to have a fantastic season, like bumper pool, Grant Morgan type numbers, because that's what the position, kind of gives you. And he's also a dynamic guy. I think he reads plays well and reacts. He just had some really nice performances this year, and I think we're going to see that from him. Dwight McLaughlin and Snacks Johnson have a good shot at being having good cornerback numbers. I think your O-linemen, Limmer and Latham, are both all SEC type guys who could, and they're going to need it, be big time leaders on that offensive front. Their tackles have got to show up this year. I mean, to me, that's one of the biggest offensive questions. Those two tackles have got to perform, whether it's Manuel or Ancudis or anybody else.
Mm-hmm. I wonder your thoughts on the transfers. We mentioned the amount of players that Arkansas has brought in, really high up in the transfer portal rankings, top 10. I know we got to see some of them in spring. Some of them are coming over, or I guess they're at the end of this week or they're already there. So, Tom, which transfer are you most excited to see September the 2nd?
That's a great question. And when you lose the numbers that Arkansas has, you have to load back up in the transfer portal, and they've done that. I think they've filled it all but one. And there's so many guys that they signed since spring ball ended that fall camp, it adds an extra element to me of fun in seeing what these guys might be able to give them. The D tackles they signed when fall camp opens. But I got to say, I think Jeff Cote at defensive end and Morgan. Jeff Cote had a fantastic freshman year at Missouri. I think he got some all SEC consideration, all freshman team, and his numbers dropped off the last couple of years. Why is that? And I think he's going to be super motivated in his final season, the way Trey Williams was here, another Missouri guy. So he would be probably my number one guy. And I don't know, Snacks Johnson at cornerback, who rose right up the depth chart. He and Al Walcott, the Baylor transfers, are both going to be, I think they're counting on a lot of snaps from those two.
Tom, enjoy the game later today. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. And when we get back together, I guess the day after Memorial Day, we'll talk about who's coming to Fayetteville for the regional and kind of where Arkansas ended up slotted in those presumed top 8 seeds where we think the Razorbacks will be riding into the postseason.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.
BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all your basketball info, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest player reports for this year's pro basketball playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters this season, as we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. Basketball, MLB, NHL hockey, right down to UFC and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games you can play right from your home. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BLEAV. BLEAV. Bet Online, where the game starts.